Continuing from where we left off, in order to obtain the demon crystal, Lindong was hunting demonic beasts during the demon tide. However, someone dared to compete with Lin Dong for the spoils, apparently unaware that he was someone with a fierce temper. Facing the savage surge of primordial energy from behind, Lin Dong's eyes flickered rapidly, yet he did not turn to resist. The energy behind him was indeed extremely sharp, even surpassing that of Lin Langtian and Mo Ling, clearly indicating that the person who struck was a peak of the creation stage powerhouse from the Holy Light Dynasty. As Lin Dong deduced the identity of his assailant, a cold glint surged in his eyes, and his intent to kill undoubtedly reached an intense peak. These Holy Light Dynasty scoundrels, not only arrogant and domineering but now even daring to snatch the demon crystal he was about to obtain, employed such despicable tactics, which were truly contemptible. With Lin Dong's temperament, to take the demon crystal from a peak of the creation stage demonic beast from his hands, not even a Nirvana stage powerhouse could do so without paying a price today. But before that, he needed to secure the demon crystal from the Earth Demon Scorpion. Lin Dong's thoughts flashed like lightning, and his bone spear, far from hesitating, lashed out with even greater ferocity, stabbing fiercely at the Earth Demon Scorpion's wound. "You insolent boy!" Lindong's actions were immediately noticed by the person behind him. At that moment, a mighty burst of primordial energy exploded from his palm, striking fiercely towards Lin Dong's back with an intensity that clearly left no room for mercy. Sensing the increasingly fierce palm wind behind him, Lin Dong's mind moved, and a surge of spiritual energy roared out from the Naiwan Palace, instantly forming a massive skull behind him. The piercing spiritual sonic waves burst forth, instantly killing the demonic beasts that were originally pouncing towards him. A figure appeared behind Lin Dong as fast as lightning, clad in a green robe. It was that peak of the creation stage powerhouse from the Holy Light Dynasty. Seeing that Lin Dong still dared to resist and did not heed his shout, his face darkened considerably. During this period, he had considered his authority unchallenged at this gathering point. Yet now Lin Dong dared to ignore him, which he found intolerable. "Overestimating yourself." The man in the green robe's expression darkened, and with a swirl in his palm, a fierce and unmatched burst of primordial energy blasted at the spiritual skull, shattering it with a single blow. It must be said, although this person was exceedingly arrogant, his strength was indeed formidable. Peak of the creation stage, though only a step away from the great completion of the creation stage, the gap between them was significant. Of course, Lin Dong was not naive enough to believe that a hastily conjured spiritual attack could stop this man. What he needed was just a moment of delay. Thus, as the Holy Light Dynasty strongman, called brotherly by the man in the green robe, shattered the skull with a punch, Lin Dong's sky crocodile bone spear, carrying a spiritual storm, pointed precisely at a crack on the Earth Demon Scorpion's shell. The sharp fluctuation burst forth from the tip of the bone spear, immediately cracking the tough shell open, blood gushing out as the spear pierced through. The sudden fatal attack immediately drove the Earth Demon Scorpion into a frenzy. Its massive body thrashed wildly, its two iron pincers, capable of blasting a peak of the creation stage powerhouse, tore through the air chaotically. Lin Dong's expression was cold, his mind moved, and the spiritual power at the tip of the spear burst forth, instantly erasing all the spirit and vitality of the Earth Demon Scorpion. Such a beast, though formidable, was extremely vulnerable to spiritual attacks before it could cultivate a demon spirit. Thus, facing Lin Dong's powerful spiritual erosion, the Earth Demon Scorpion had little resistance and was quickly killed. The body of the Earth Demon Scorpion stiffened in that moment, a deathly aura spreading throughout. Seeing the Earth Demon Scorpion's death, Lin Dong quickly vibrated the shaft of his spear, causing an internal explosion in the Earth Demon Scorpion's head, sending blood and brains spraying everywhere. With a flick of his hand, a fist-sized blood-red demon crystal erupted from the blood, finally landing in his hand. As soon as the demon crystal was in his grasp, Lin Dong felt a scorching sensation spreading from his palm, and at the same time, a rich aura of nirvana was emitted, far more intense than any ordinary demon crystal, indeed 10 times stronger at least. With the demon crystal in hand, Lin Dong tapped the corpse of the earth demon scorpion with the tip of his foot, his body shooting upward, and his gaze coldly fixed on the green-robed figure behind him, a surge of murderous intent filling his heart. As the body of the earth demon scorpion fell, the demon tide, as if losing its leader, let out a collective howl to the sky and receded like a tide at an incredible speed. Within mere seconds, the red tide that filled the vision completely disappeared into the night. On the city walls, after a fierce battle, everyone breathed a sigh of relief as the demon tide retreated. However, their gaze quickly turned to the sky outside the city where two figures were confronting each other. That's Li Sheng from the Holy Light Dynasty. He seems intent on seizing the demon crystal from that peak of the creation stage beast. That kid from the Great Yin Dynasty is in trouble now. Li Sheng's power is just a step away from the Nirvana stage. Although he just killed a peak of the creation stage beast, beasts, after all, are not humans. The Holy Light Dynasty is too overbearing. Someone finally slays a peak of the creation stage beast, and they just want to snatch it forcefully. Keep it down. Who dares to challenge the Holy Light Dynasty here? You saw what happened to those guys earlier. Ah, these bastards. On the city walls, the crowd watched the scene above and couldn't help but whisper quietly among themselves. At one part of the wall, Mo Ling, Du Yun, and Man Shan's expressions changed due to the scene, anger surfacing on their faces. These people from the Holy Light Dynasty were really too much. In midair, the green-robed man named Li Sheng looked at Lin Dong with a somewhat icy expression and then slowly extended his hand, saying calmly, "Hand over the demon crystal, your bone spear, and your creation martial arts to me, and I guarantee your safety in the ancient battlefield." Hearing this, a cold sneer crossed Lin Dong's face. This guy wanted not only the demon crystal, but also his sky crocodile bone spear and the great wilderness celestial prison finger. Lin Dong stared at Li Sheng, and after a moment, slowly extended his hand with a fiery red demon crystal quietly lying in it, emitting a dense aura of nirvana that made Li Sheng's eyes even more fervent. You know? Li Sheng was somewhat satisfied by Lin Dong's action. However, just as he was about to take the demon crystal, a mocking look flashed across Lin Dong's face, and with a squeeze of his palm, the demon crystal was crushed, its devouring power bursting forth, swallowing all the nirvana energy within. What are you to guarantee my safety in the ancient battlefield? With your strength, you can hardly protect yourself, let alone others. Lin Dong devoured the demon crystal, and a taunting remark also came from his mouth. This scene was quite sudden, and even Li Sheng didn't react immediately. He was stunned, and by the time Lin Dong's taunting voice reached him, he finally snapped back to reality, his handsome face turning as livid as a liver, his eyes flashing with barely concealed rage. Clearly, he couldn't believe that Lin Dong dared to play him like this. On the city walls, everyone was rendered speechless by this scene. Although many there deeply resented the overbearing Li Sheng, none dared to tease him openly like Lin Dong. For no matter what, this guy was the strongest here. Fine, you lowlife. Even if you knelt down and offered your spiritual treasures, martial arts, and demon crystal, I would make you beg for death. Li Sheng trembled with fury, his venomous gaze fixed on Lin Dong. His voice filled with an unrestrainable murderous fury. Lin Dong's eyes also surged with a cold intent. He took a fierce step forward, and a violent burst of primordial force crazily surged from within him. Amidst this surge, his aura climbed incrementally, breaking through barriers in an instant, completely advancing to the great completion of the creation stage. With the preparation over this period, coupled with the nirvana energy contained in the demon crystal, Lin Dong had finally advanced to the great completion of the creation stage. His strength surged once again. Lin Dong's aura roared around him, his icy shout booming like thunder in the sky. Do you really think you rule here just because the Holy Light Dynasty has been throwing its weight around for a few days? If so, then today, I'll give you a wake-up call. Your strength wants to rule and dominate? What a delusional dream. On the city walls, many were left dumbfounded by Lin Dong's shout. With these words spoken, today's events would likely not end well. In the air outside the city walls, Li Sheng's face was chillingly cold as he stared at Lin Dong, his heart's rage causing his face to twist grotesquely, looking extremely fierce. Lin Dong, flaunting his defiance in front of so many, was simply unbearable for his proud and arrogant heart. It seems my approach has been too gentle. Even such riffraff from a minor dynasty dare to spout such nonsense at me. Li Sheng's voice, sinister and filled with barely concealed murderous rage, echoed. Do you really think that by reaching the great completion of the creation stage, you dare to challenge me? I've lost count of how many at the great completion of the creation stage have died by my hand these past days. It seems today, you will join their ranks. At this moment, the warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty on the city walls were also infuriated by Lindong's words. They surged with killing intent, swiftly moving to form a surrounding circle, blocking all of Lindong's escape routes. It seemed they had no intention of letting Lindong go today. Seeing this, Mo Ling and the other two's expressions changed. They exchanged glances and, gritting their teeth, burst forward to appear by Lindong's side, their eyes warily watching the warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty. Mo Ling, it seems you want all the people of the great Yin Dynasty to perish here. Seeing Mo Ling's action, Xia Huang sneered coldly. Are they all from the great Yin Dynasty? Then kill them all. Otherwise, we might have these nuisances jumping out from time to time, which would be annoying. Li Sheng looked at Mo Ling and others indifferently. Hey, I have no relation to them. Lindong is my mortal enemy. If the warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty could kill him, I would indeed be pleased to see that, Lin Langtian on the city walls remarked with a chilling smile. Lin Langtian. Hearing this, Mo Ling and the others were instantly enraged. That guy is asking for it. He deserves his misfortune. I advise you to leave early too. Such fools will eventually drag you down to death. Lin Langtian scoffed, wishing nothing more than for Lindong to be killed by Li Sheng and others. With his character, how could he not kick someone when they're down? You're quite perceptive. Li Sheng glanced at Lin Langtian, smiled faintly, and then turned to Mo Ling and the others, saying, The Holy Light Dynasty does not oppress with power. If you leave now, I can pretend this never happened. Of course, this young man must pay the price for his arrogance today. The majesty of the Holy Light Dynasty cannot be challenged. Hearing this, Mo Ling and the others exchanged glances, all smiling wryly and shaking their heads. For some reason, they always had considerable confidence in Lindong, even though they were aware that they were facing the formidable warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty. They didn't feel desperate. However, just as they were about to steadfastly stand by Lindong, he suddenly spoke up, Brother Mo Ling, you should step back. I can handle this situation. Hearing this, Mo Ling and the others were startled and turned to look at Lindong, whose face bore a slight smile. Doubt surged in their eyes. They didn't doubt Lindong's strength, but the man before them, Li Sheng, was a genuine peak of the creation stage warrior, and his resources were surely stronger than theirs. Although Lindong had defeated Wang Zhong, Li Sheng was far stronger than Wang Zhong. Despite their doubts, they had nothing to say at this moment. After a pause, they just nodded silently and whispered, Be careful. If it really doesn't work out, we'll flee from here. Lindong smiled slightly. He wasn't surprised by Lin Langtian's behavior, but the fact that Mo Ling and the others so firmly stood by him was somewhat unexpected. However, his nature was such that he reciprocated respect with even greater respect, and today, he would not let their good intentions be in vain. Mo Ling and the others slowly drifted down, their gaze tensely fixed on the sky. Do you want to take action alone, or all together? Lindong looked up at Li Sheng as Mo Ling and the others descended, speaking calmly. To those around, Lindong's words seemed somewhat unnecessary. With Li Sheng's pride, facing someone who had just advanced to the great completion of the creation stage, he would hardly need assistance. And just as they thought, upon hearing Lindong's words, a look of disdain appeared on Li Sheng's face, and he scoffed. Do you really think that by killing a peak of the creation stage demonic beast, you're qualified to contend with me? I alone am enough to handle you. Good. Facing Li Sheng's disdainful sneer, Lindong slowly uttered a word. The next instant, a mighty and strong primordial force burst forth from within him. Having entered the great completion of the creation stage, the primordial force inside Lindong became much more powerful in a moment. You'll soon realize just how foolish your actions were. As the primordial force fluctuation burst from Lindong, Li Sheng's expression did not change. He stepped forward without hesitation and threw a punch. Holy Light Radiance. As Li Sheng's punch was thrown, a volcanic-like violent primordial force erupted from within him, forming a massive force under his fist that instantly transformed into a beam of light thousands of feet long, sweeping towards Lin Dong with incredible oppressive force. It must be said, Li Sheng's strength was indeed formidable. His attack was a staggering display of power. The thousands of rays of light contained mighty primordial force, causing even the space itself to ripple. Great Wilderness Sea Partition Seal. Lin Dong's eyes flashed, his hand signs changing, and the mighty primordial force turned into a tidal wave emerging behind him. A light seal tore through the wave and then directly carried a formidable fluctuation, clashing fiercely with the thousands of rays of light. The entire land seemed to tremble at that moment, the corpses of the beasts on the ground being blown apart by the energy ripples, turning into clouds of blood mist rising up. And as the energy fluctuation swept through, Lin Dong finally moved. His feet performed the Tai Ching skywalking steps, turning into a streak of blue smoke, bursting forth. His handheld sky crocodile bone spear stabbed out, directly tearing through the energy ripples, and then, like lightning, aimed straight for Li Sheng's chest. Humph! Seeing Lin Dong's attack, Li Sheng also let out a cold snort, his hands coming together to instantly form a thick light shield in front of him. Break it! However, against Li Sheng's defense, Lin Dong did not pause. His arm vibrated, and the sky crocodile bone spear seemed to emit a bizarre roar, a sharpness to the extreme bursting forth, ferociously hitting the light shield. Immediately, the light shield shattered, and the ferocity of the sky crocodile bone spear once again demonstrated its astonishing power. The ferocity of the sky crocodile bone spear also somewhat surprised Li Sheng. His light shield, capable of withstanding a full blow from a great completion of the creation stage powerhouse, was fragile under the spear. Did you really think you were the only one with an earth-tier spiritual treasure? Li Sheng stepped back, dodging the sharp edge of the sky crocodile bone spear. With a flip of his hand, a luminous drum appeared in his grasp. The drum swelled in the wind, growing to several meters in size. Li Sheng swept his sleeve, and a beam of primordial energy struck the drum, immediately unleashing a shocking wave of sacred light sound waves from the drum. The fierce sound waves forcefully pushed Lin Dong back several steps. Boy, let me show you the power of the Holy Light Dynasty's Holy Light Drum. Li Sheng moved onto the drum and, with a ferocious smile, stomped heavily on it. Instantly, countless piercing light arrows formed from sound waves surged forth from the drum, covering the sky. Their momentum was terrifying. Any great completion of the creation stage warrior hit by them would surely be pierced through by 1,000 arrows. Sky Crocodile Howl. Facing Li Sheng's attack, Lin Dong vigorously shook the sky crocodile bone spear in his hand, channeling a massive amount of primordial energy into it. Suddenly, a brilliant light burst from the spear, and vaguely, it seemed to coalesce into a ferocious crocodile from ancient times. The crocodile roared skyward, and astonishing sound waves rippled outward like waves. Bang! 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 The sky rained with light as it collided with the crocodile's roar, and countless explosions echoed, sending powerful energy fluctuations sweeping through like a storm. Under this turmoil, Li Sheng was also forced to step back, flipping the holy light drum to form a light screen in front of him, which barely managed to fend off the wave of energy. As Li Sheng retreated, Lin Dong was also pushed back several steps, but his aura was not at all diminished. Instead, his fighting spirit was high. Having just broken through to the great completion of the creation stage, he was actually in need of a hearty and exhilarating battle. The two had clashed several times now, with neither gaining a clear upper hand, much to the surprise of many onlookers. They had thought that once Li Sheng made a move, Lin Dong would quickly crumble, but unexpectedly, Lin Dong managed to hold his ground in this fierce battle. This realization dawned on some observers, revealing why Lin Dong was not afraid of Li Sheng. His combat power far exceeded his apparent level. Xia Huang watched this scene, his expression slightly displeased, but he soon sneered, "This kid, although somewhat capable, might soon regret his actions." A mere commoner from a minor dynasty dares to compare with Brother Li, a favored son of heaven, truly overestimating his own abilities. As if to echo his cold laughter, a radiant light burst forth from Li Sheng in midair. The light gathered behind him, vaguely forming a colossal radiant giant elephant, emitting a terrifying fluctuation and oppressive force that slowly spread out. "Boy, you will be the first on this ancient battlefield to witness the power of the Holy Light Dynasty's creation martial arts. You can take pride in that, of course. It will cost you your life." As that oppressive force spread, Li Sheng's voice, filled with murderous intent, boomed like thunder, echoing across the sky. Brilliant light, carrying an immense primordial force, burst forth from behind Li Sheng. Under that intense light, it seemed as though even the night was dispelled. The light surged across the sky, and within that light, a massive radiant giant elephant seemed to emerge, standing as if it dominated the heavens and the earth. A power that could support the heavens and earth rippled slowly, causing the space to ripple with waves. Li Sheng floated before the radiant giant elephant, his face filled with a fierce coldness. Under the backdrop of that light, his entire being emanated a formidable pressure that was hard to look directly at. What a formidable fluctuation of primordial force. This, too, is creation martial arts. On the city walls, many onlookers watched in awe as the living-like radiant giant elephant emerged behind Li Sheng. Such formidable pressure and fluctuations could only belong to creation martial arts. Hemph! This ignorant fool has actually forced Brother Li to deploy the heaven-crushing holy elephant charge. There's no need to watch what comes next. Once Brother Li makes his move, this guy will be smashed into a pulp, Xia Huang said, his eyes narrowing as he sneered. That's right, the heaven-crushing holy elephant charge is a mid-level creation martial art. With one strike, it's powerful enough to destroy mountains, and combined with Brother Li's peak of the creation stage power, Lin Dong is undoubtedly doomed. It seems Brother Li is no longer in the mood to play with this kid. Good. It's better to finish him off early. It's unbearable in this darkness. Other warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty also sneered, clearly believing that with this move, the outcome was already decided. Such a powerful creation martial art. Mo Ling and the others also had grave expressions on their faces. The oppressive force emanating from midair made it clear to them that if they were in the same position, even if they could defend against this attack, they would likely end up severely injured. I wonder if Lindong can withstand this attack? The three exchanged glances, seeing a hint of worry in each other's eyes. This attack could very well end this confrontation. In midair, Lindong's gaze also intensified due to the radiant giant elephant appearing behind Li Sheng. From the fluctuations it emitted, he knew that the creation martial art Li Sheng was using was surely no weaker than the Emperor's Hand of the Eight Desolations that Lin Langtian had obtained from the creation martial tablet. Indeed, Li Sheng's strength was even greater than Lin Langtian's. Such martial skills, when executed by him, had boundless power. It seemed that even peers at the peak of the creation stage would have to avoid its edge. However, where others might avoid, Lin Dong remained undaunted. Li Sheng's creation martial art was indeed formidable, but now, Lin Dong's strength had greatly increased as well. Whose deer would die? Only the struggle would tell. Boy, now you won't even have the chance to regret. I will let everyone know the consequences of offending me. Li Sheng, standing atop the light, looked sternly at Lin Dong, feeling the massive wave of energy behind him, his heart filled with immense confidence. Once this move was executed, not to mention Lin Dong at the great completion of the creation stage, even if he were at the peak of the creation stage, he would have to die. With his shout falling, Li Sheng obviously didn't plan to give Lin Dong any time to react. He stepped back and merged into the head of the radiant giant elephant, which then let out a sky-shattering roar. Heaven-crushing holy elephant charge. The giant elephant roared and then charged out of the void, its light surging like a destructive force capable of shattering heaven and earth. Its thunderous steps made the very world tremble, carrying terrifying, overwhelming power as it ferociously rushed towards Lin Dong. Boom, boom. As the giant elephant charged, the ground below was torn apart, creating a huge ravine nearly 100 meters long. Under the impact of the giant elephant, it seemed as if anything in its path would be pulverized to dust. Watching the radiant giant elephant rapidly enlarging in his pupils, Lin Dong's expression turned extremely solemn. He stepped back rapidly using the Taiching skywalking steps, and at the same time, his hands rapidly formed various seals, unleashing a fierce primordial force from within him. Great Wilderness Celestial Prison Finger. Imprison the world with a single finger. Lin Dong's gaze was sharp as he pointed into the void. Suddenly, an ancient, imposing finger burst forth from behind him, then harshly pressed down towards the sky-striding radiant giant elephant. Boom! The two forces collided fiercely. However, this time, the giant finger did not last long. It directly shattered into a myriad of light particles. But, although the giant finger was shattered, the momentum of the giant elephant was also momentarily halted. Great Wilderness Celestial Prison Finger. 2 fingers shatter mountains and rivers. 3 fingers annihilate all life. With the first finger shattered, Lindong showed no sign of panic. Instead, he pointed into the void 2 more times. Following this, a tremendous primordial force howled through the heavens, and the chi of the entire world turned violent. Whoosh! 2 even more robust and ancient fingers formed above Lindong and shot out at an astonishing speed. As they burst through the air, they struck the radiant giant elephant with a resounding impact amidst gasps of astonishment from onlookers. With another collision, the air of the entire world seemed to ignite. A hurricane swept through, and even the ground below was torn up, creating fissures that spread like a spider web. This time, the radiant giant elephant didn't crumble as easily as before. The momentum of the impact was significantly countered by the 2 gigantic fingers, as if the 2 were locked in a stalemate, continuously emitting shocking fluctuations. Within the head of the radiant giant elephant, Li Sheng's figure flickered in and out of visibility. He was greatly surprised that his attack was gradually being withstood. However, his eyes soon filled with even greater greed. Lindong's martial arts seemed not at all inferior to his heaven-crushing holy elephant charge. If he could acquire it, his combat power would surely increase further. Explode for me! With greed surging in his eyes, Li Sheng let out a fierce roar. Suddenly, a blindingly bright light burst forth from within the giant elephant, as if a fierce sun had erupted. The oppressive force and fluctuations at this moment were almost at their peak. Boom! Boom! The giant elephant let out a skyward howl, its immense body lunging forward. The world trembled as an indescribably terrifying force spread like a storm. Under this fearsome onslaught, the 2 giant fingers, under the watchful eyes of many, began to crack and eventually exploded with a loud bang. The power of Li Sheng's creation martial art was indeed terrifying. Kid, remember this lesson. Be more careful about whom you offend in your next life. As the giant fingers collapsed, Li Sheng's smug sneer echoed from within the giant elephant. Then, without slowing down, the elephant once again surged forward with a sky-shattering force, crashing fiercely towards Lin Dong. Phew! Watching the rapidly approaching giant elephant, Lin Dong took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. At the same time, the primordial force within his body was spurred to its limit, roaring out like a tidal wave. The chi of the entire world boiled over in that instant. Amidst this tumultuous surge of heaven and earth primordial energy, Lin Dong raised his finger again and slowly pointed outward. Great Wilderness Celestial Prison Finger, 4-fingered sky-shattering strike. As Lin Dong pointed, the space above him seemed to tear open. An ancient giant finger, as if tearing through from the depths of antiquity, slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. This ancient giant finger, filled with age and vicissitude and even covered with various ancient patterns, was undeniably more solid and powerful than the one Lin Dong had used in his battle against Lin Langtian. The fluctuations it emitted were enough to strike fear into the hearts of those at the peak of the creation stage. The warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty, witnessing this ancient giant finger, were immediately filled with deep shock. Even Xia Huang's smirk froze on his face. He felt a deathly aura from the giant finger, knowing that if it were directed at him, no matter how he resisted, his fate would be death. What a powerful martial art! Not only them, but even Mo Ling was visibly shaken, witnessing Lin Dong's fourth finger for the first time. Break! Lin Dong pointed into the void, and the ancient giant finger tore through the fabric of space. In the next instant, under the gaze of many eyes, it appeared in front of the radiant giant elephant and pressed down. As this finger pressed down, the boiling world seemed to fall silent in an instant. The overwhelming might of the radiant giant elephant was completely suppressed. Before the finger even landed, the ground below had already collapsed into a crater several hundred meters across. Boom! The ancient giant finger finally landed on the radiant giant elephant. The world fell silent, and then fine cracks slowly emerged on the surface of the giant elephant under the watchful eyes of many stunned onlookers. Lin Dong's gaze was as cold as a blade's edge. With a fierce point of his finger, he unleashed the full force of the fourth finger without reservation. Die! Cracks rapidly spread across the radiant giant elephant under the ancient, immensely old giant finger. Even the elephant's immense oppressive force was forcibly suppressed. The light of the radiant giant elephant dimmed, and Li Sheng's figure faintly appeared at the head of the elephant. His face, previously filled with a cold smirk, was now overtaken by terror and shock. He could hardly believe that even his heaven-crushing holy elephant charge could not withstand Lin Dong's finger. High-level creation martial art. Feeling the oppressive force and ferocity seeping from the ancient giant finger, Li Sheng suddenly realized that Lin Dong's martial art was not some mid-level creation martial art, but a genuine high-level one. Although only a word apart, the difference in power between them was as vast as that between heaven and earth. How is this possible? How can a commoner from a minor dynasty possess a high-level creation martial art? When Li Sheng grasped this reality, a roar of disbelief burst from his heart. High-level creation martial arts were exceedingly rare even within the Holy Light Dynasty, and even he did not possess one. Yet here was Lin Dong, from a minor dynasty like the Great Yin, in possession of such a martial art. How could he remain calm? Crack! Crack! Regardless of his disbelief, the pervasive pressure grew increasingly terrifying. Fine cracks covered the body of the radiant giant elephant, on the verge of collapse. How can you, a commoner, possibly defeat me? Li Sheng's face turned ashen, his eyes becoming bloodshot with rage. What he had assumed would be an easy victory was now showing signs of utterly overpowering him, a situation intolerable for the proud and arrogant Li Sheng. As Li Sheng's eyes turned blood-red, the radiant giant elephant once again burst forth with a blinding light, clearly making a desperate final effort. However, facing Li Sheng's fierce resistance, Lin Dong merely snorted coldly. His finger jabbed out decisively, and the ancient giant finger surged with overwhelming pressure before pressing down hard once again. Boom! The ancient giant finger pressed down once more, and the radiant giant elephant, which had just begun to shine brightly again, was subdued and dimmed. The cracks widened further, and finally, with a loud bang, it could no longer withstand the pressure of the giant finger and exploded under the shocked gazes of onlookers. A terrifying energy storm swept out from midair, and the radiant giant elephant exploded into myriad points of light, like a rain of light drifting down from the sky. Amidst the rain of light, a figure was violently thrown backward, blood spurting from his mouth, before he harshly hit the ground, creating a nearly kilometer-long trail before finally stabilizing in a disheveled heap. All eyes sharply turned at this moment, and as they looked at the figure sprawled on the ground, an instant silence fell over those on the city walls. Faces were covered with disbelief, because the figure defeated and in disarray was none other than Li Sheng. The warriors of the Holy Light Dynasty in midair were also staring dumbfounded at this scene, their expressions turning incredibly vivid, particularly Xia Huang, whose air of invincibility had completely dissipated, replaced by a deep sense of fear. He could hardly believe that Li Sheng, who had stepped into the peak of the creation stage, could suffer such a dismal defeat at the hands of Lin Dong, who was merely at the great completion of the creation stage. He actually won. Mo Ling and the others also drew in a sharp breath, then their faces lit up with joy. Their hunch had been correct. Lin Dong had far deeper reserves of strength than he had let on.